Good afternoon and welcome to tonight's special presentations here in the city of Moreno Valley. Thank you everyone who's here in person for joining us, for coming out. Everybody that's tuning in from home, thank you as well for tuning in and joining us virtually. For tonight, we have two separate presentations that we'll be presenting. I'll be presenting the first one, and the second one will be presented by Councilmember Bernard. And to begin, I would like to invite our very own Fire Chief, Mr. Jesse Park, for our first recognition. Always good to see you, sir. That's good. The City of Moreno Valley's fire squads are truly exceptional. Their quick response and dedication saves lives every single day. Tonight, we are recognizing an incredible act of service. On July 15th of last year, Squad 6 was dispatched to a call about a minor having a seizure. While en route, they were informed that the child had lost consciousness and was no longer breathing. When they arrived, the crew immediately began CPR and paramedic care. They used medication and a defibrillator to restart the child's heart. That's a tongue twister. After 8 minutes, they successfully restored the child's pulse. The child was taken to Loma Linda Children's Hospital, and thanks to their quick response, he made a full recovery. Seizures can be frightening, but needing to resuscitate someone takes an incredible amount of skill and focus. At this time, I'd like to invite our Engine and Squad 6 personnel up to receive their station certificate of recognition. If we could give them a big round of applause. Welcome. Thank you for your service. Thank you to Station 6 for your commitment and your bravery. On behalf of the City Council and all of our residents, please accept this certificate of recognition for your heroic efforts to keeping the residents of Moreno Valley safe. And at this time, I would like to actually ask the chief and your team here if you would care to share a few words. Now's the opportunity. Don't rush to the mic. Okay.
Yes, yeah. When they went to the hospital, the doctors, they recognized their work, and they let our director of the EMS agency know, and they let our fire department doctor, we have a fire department doctor as well, and they were recognized by the hospital and by our Riverside Emergency Management agency. And so we wanted to show how special that was and recognize them here for the city and the council.
And at this time, if I could invite my colleagues on the council to come down so we could take a group picture and present this certificate on behalf of the city of Moreno Valley. Thank you. Two rows.
Actually, Mayor, if I can get you in the back since you're taller.
There you go. I'm just following orders.
3 in the back this direction, yeah. Keep going till your head right in the middle and your 2 are on the side. There we go.
I'm okay.
A little bit more in the middle. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
In the middle, just a little bit more. There we go. All right. Oops, sorry.
Oh.
All right, and 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you once again to Station 6. If we could give them another big round of applause, please. Again, you never know what kind of call is going to come in, but you all sacrifice on a daily basis, yourselves, your family, a time with your loved ones, and we cannot thank you enough for everything that you do every single day to keep our residents safe. So from our hearts, we thank you. And an extension of this presentation, I would like to continue, and the dedication of our emergency personnel doesn't stop just at the fire stations. Even though every now and then you'll drive by one, you'll smell that good barbecue because they're some of the best cooks around, guaranteed. Just last week, staff from our Office of Emergency Management were having lunch at a local restaurant, Joe's Mexican Restaurant, when one of our emergency management coordinators, Doug Ulibari, saw a toddler choking. Without hesitation, Doug jumped into action. With his EMT training and first aid and CPR certification, he quickly cleared the child's airway, bringing relief to both the child and the parents. This is another powerful reminder of the skill and readiness of our fire and emergency management teams. Doug, could you please join me here at the microphone? And if we can give him a big round of applause as he comes up, please. I know they told me you weren't expecting this, you didn't know what was happening, but we want to make sure we recognize you for your dedication.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Emergencies, we like to surprise you.
Yeah.
And I would like to present you a certificate. Before I do, though, if there's any additional remarks, anything else that you'd like to share, if there's anything that you'd like to share, I would love to give you the opportunity as well.
No, I've just been very fortunate. I've worked in EMS field. I've had my EMT since 1998, so seeing the child who recognized that he was choking, his father was panicking, and once he went limp, my training just went into effect, I guess. So all I can say is, we're very fortunate with the support here in the city that my partner and my boss, both Dianas, have certified over 160 city personnel in first aid, CPR, and stop the bleed. So it's very good numbers for our city, and we're still growing. So, that's all I got. I want to thank my OEM family, Chief. Thank you for your support for every day that you help us out. And yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And with that, we will take a group picture with the council as well.
It's funny how I can't talk when I need to talk. Right? Get over here. There they are. There they are.
So as she sets that up, good evening, everyone. Those two heroic stories are amazing, and I'm always proud of the work that our firefighters and emergency management did, because sometimes just being in the right place at the right time is what actually counts and is able to save the life, as we've proven, of 2 children in our community. Women throughout this great nation's history have been symbols of freedom, perseverance, and determination, and in this month of March, we'd like to recognize and highlight the contributions of women in our community. With that, I'd like everyone to reflect on women in their own lives that have shown these qualities, whether it be our mothers, sisters, aunts, or colleagues. Joining us for this presentation is a woman who's been making an impact via her advocacy for civic engagement and immigration, Ms. Luz Gallegos. During Women's History Month, we celebrate the courageous women who have helped build a fairer and more just nation, whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our community in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. Women play critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of life, and particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our city. Women have served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement. The struggles and successes of all women are interconnected. When opportunities for women are withheld, we all suffer. And when women's lives are improved, we all gain. We celebrate the women of Moreno Valley and around the world who have fought for equality, justice, and opportunity in our democratic society. With that, therefore be resolved that the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley, on behalf of its citizens and staff, does hereby recognize March 2025 as Women's History Month and encourages all citizens to observe this month and celebrate the women in their lives. And with that, we are giving this to you, Luz. For those of you that don't know, Luz does a lot of work in the community, in and out. I would say just Moreno Valley and Paris, but that would be a lie. If it's Riverside County from here to Coachella, Luz is involved with it some way, somehow. And with the recent things that have been happening with immigration within our county and our nation, Luz and her, I don't even know what to say because I call them your team, because that's how we talk about it, have been at the forefront of that, of just remaining steadfast and showing the humanitarianism and offering hope and guidance to those in the community. And so with that, Luz, if you have any words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Members Bernard and all our City Council, our Mayor. It is a true honor and surprise I'm very humbled to receive this. As a farm worker, farm worker myself, growing up between Sunnymead and Paris, following the harvest between Sunnymead with citrus, Paris with our veggies, and then to Coachella. It's a dream. In reality, it's very humbling to be here because, you know, just as I was reflecting, as the council member was saying, back to my childhood, here in this community in Sunnymead, just remembering the trauma we had as kids and what we see the trauma that our kids are having right now with the political environment. It is very personal. And this opportunity gives me hope that there's so much hope for our communities, just being presented this resolution and being recognized. I remember here in Sunnymead, while my parents were harvesting, we were here. Ahí viene la migra. Here comes immigration. I was so scared. It was, and I was a U.S.-born citizen, but I was scared for my parents and other workers. And we're seeing that same trauma in our kids. And very blessed that TODEC existed because it gave us the opportunity as young women, as youth, to have a space so we could grow within our advocacy and our leadership, and to become civically engaged, and also be having the most vulnerable populations in the forefront of our minds, and that has become our life journey, and very hopeful for the future generations, as we have here some of our monarcas that come from also Youth Leadership Pipeline, they're speaking up for other kids and their families as well. But thank you so much. I'm very humbled to receive this, and that not only myself, but one person cannot do it all. It's a whole team and a whole organization. And on behalf of myself and my community, thank you so much. City Council members, Bernard, and all the City Council for presenting this to me. I'm very humbled and honored, but I would also like to call my husband and some of our compañeros that came, some are Zoe and her family, if you guys could come up, because this is a team effort. One person cannot do it all. It's a whole community.
No, she needs to come up. And then with that, I will call over the rest of my council. We have two more. Don't move.
Thank you. One, two, and three. All right, thank you.
Thank you once again. Another big round of applause, please, for Luz Gallegos and her team. Historical figures and their family that just has so much history behind it as well. Walking through these areas, this region, through the fields with the likes of Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta so many years ago. And so we thank you. We thank you for joining us and for all the work that you are doing across the region, all the way to Sacramento and DC as well. And so with that, we will conclude our special presentations, and we'll be back in 13 minutes for our regular council meeting. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, buenas tardes, and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley. The City Council receives a separate stipend from the Community Services District if any CSD business is conducted at this meeting. I now call this meeting to order on March 4th, 2025 at exactly 6 p.m. We will move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Would any of my colleagues like to lead us in the pledge this evening? The pledge will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz. Please remain standing after the pledge for the invocation given by Dr. Ali Al-Sadoun from the Muslim Family Foundation.
Pledge allegiance.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, God Almighty, the most gracious, most merciful. God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth, we come before you with the humility and gratitude, seeking your guidance, strength, and grace. Grant us wisdom to navigate life's challenges and the courage to face them with faith. God Almighty, we ask you to mend our division, to heal the sick among us, unite our heart, to revive peace and love in humanity. God Almighty, we seek your guidance, forgiveness, blessing. God Almighty, illuminate our path with your divine light. Grant the member of the City Council wisdom to make decisions that uplift our community, wisdom to navigate challenges with integrity, and a courage to lead with fairness and compassion. God Almighty, bless our city with peace, unity, prosperity, and bring hope to those in need. Protect our families, our neighbor, and all who call the city home. Amen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali Al-Sadoun from the Muslim Family Foundation. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bernard,
Here.
Councilmember Delgado,
Here, ma'am.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz,
Here.
and Mayor Cabrera.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will move past item E, motions to excuse. That brings us to F, staff introductions, please.
Patty Rodriguez, City Clerk.
Paul Bradvica, Deputy City Clerk.
Sonia Gomez, Management Assistant.
Stephen Quintanilla, City Attorney.
Brian Mohan, City Manager.
Lonnie Jimenez, Assistant City Manager over Administration, City Treasurer.
Dina Heald, Chief Financial Officer.
John Kelleher, Assistant City Manager Development.
Angelica Fraustalipo, Community Development Director.
Melissa Walker, Director of Public Works.
Jeremy Bubnick, Director of Parks and Community Services.
Robert Cardenas, Human Resources Director.
Keith Gemmel, Acting Economic Development and Housing Director.
Sarah Mack, Chief of Police.
And Jesse Park, Fire Chief.
Thank you very much, Team Moval. It's always a pleasure to be in the chamber to conduct the people's business. That brings us to item G, which is approval of order of the agenda. If there are no requests from the council or any requests, now is the time. I don't see any hands raised. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve the order of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bernard.
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado.
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz.
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera.
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion carries. Next, item H, public comments on matters that are not on the agenda. The city now offers language translation services through the free app called Wordly. The app automatically translates a variety of languages into English and vice versa. To use this service, please scan the QR code at the speaker's sign-up table over by the doors. For the visually impaired, please use your earphones or earbuds to listen to the verbal translation. If you do not have any such listening devices, please let the city clerk know, and we will gladly let you borrow one for the meeting. La ciudad ahora ofrece servicios de traducción de idiomas a través de una aplicación gratuita llamada Wordly. Si alguien gusta usar este servicio, por favor nos avisan o le dejan saber a la secretaria y entregue una tarjeta para hablar. Para usar la traducción, escanee el código QR que está en la mesa junto a las puertas. Before we move on to public comments, I'd like to remind everyone to direct their comments to the City Council. For comments that are on tonight's agenda, each speaker will have a total of 3 minutes to comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on non-agenda items?
We do, Mayor. The first 3 speakers are James Harris, followed by James Armour, followed by David Nielsen.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, city officials. My name is James Harris, and I've been a resident of Moreno Valley for over 25 years. During that time, I've served as the chair for the Library Commission, master of ceremony for city events such as the Color Run, 4th of July, Juneteenth, and I'm thrilled to be emceeing this Saturday at the Multicultural Arts and Festival here Saturday. I'm really excited about that. Also, for the past several years, I've been putting on Black History presentations at the main library. I just conducted one last February for the 688. But I'm here today to say that I'm excited to announce that on Saturday, May 31st, I'm going to be conducting a community softball game honoring the Negro League here in the city of Moreno Valley. For those who may be unfamiliar with the Negro League, it was a space created for African Americans to allow them to play because due to the climate at the time, they were restricted from playing for the majors and minor leagues. The design of the game is simply just to show the what they contribute and their achievements of those men in the league. During the game, you get a chance to get a snow cone, a hot dog, bring out your favorite lawn chair, watch the game it's going to be between the Homestead Grays and the Kansas City Monarchs. We're going to have a DJ. Yours truly will be doing the emceeing and the play-by-play. Guarantee you're going to have a good time. Also, there's going to be a informational component to an educational, so you'll learn some information about the Negro Leagues and just a little slice of history. The teams will be primarily made up of those Moreno Valley residents and businesses. Because this is a free community event, I want it to look like the community. So I'm soliciting the city council officials, those online, those in present, to contact me because as we speak, I'm trying to put together a roster. So because this is a free community event, I'm soliciting and asking the council if they could assist in anything that they can in the form of waiver of some application fees, any ancillary fees that come along with that. Any donations will go towards, any monetary donations will go towards like bats, balls, the t-shirts, because believe it or not, the park that we're looking at, they don't have bases. So we want to make sure that we're ready to go for our community. While we have a lot of folks that are donating, and I'm really appreciative of that, and we're partnering with, and they're helping it out, Stater Brothers.
Thank you very much. Don't mean to cut you off. The 3 minutes has lapsed, but we will certainly follow up, and I'll bring it up later on in the meeting. Thank you so much. Yeah, it goes fast. Thank you.
The next three speakers are James Armour, followed by David Nielsen, followed by Richard Bolter.
Good afternoon. It's nice to see you guys again, Mayor, City Council, city officials. It's a blessing to be here. Just wanted to share last month's data. We were successfully able to house 12 individuals, so really excited about that. We served 124 unhoused brothers and sisters, and altogether we served 133 individuals. Right now, we're still working on trying to get a second team to go out every other week to do the homeless outreach on the streets. It's very hard to find volunteers to do that, so we're actively trying to do that. Right now, I'm waiting on an email back to have the official approval for the permits for the mobile free market this year. Like I said before, we used to do it every month, but it's a lot of work, so we're trying to get 6 of them in this year and really trying to focus on the homeless outreach. Trying to put all our efforts into that. I'm really excited for the homeless time count, the point in time count to come out. I really hope it's going to say Moreno Valley reduced homelessness and we've reached functional zero, which means we don't have any new cases of homelessness. So that would be amazing. So I'm waiting for that. And then I also wanted to bring up something. I'm not super active in the city council meeting, so I don't know if this came up in the past or not. And I believe it was November, we were going to vote on the homeless committee, the ad hoc committee, and we're going into the 3rd month now, and we have a complete city council, so I'm hoping that we can get that going because it's really important we have a multi-collaborative, evidence-based approach to homelessness. Right now, Riverside is looking into, their homeless committees looking into safe parking programs, which allows individuals who are sleeping in their cars to go to a safe space. I believe Santa Barbara has successfully done it. Los Angeles has done it. So it would be amazing if Moreno Valley could have a safe space so people don't have to worry about their safety. And it gives us an opportunity to provide resources and services to individuals. So yeah, so the goal, like I said, is to get an extra team to do the homeless outreach with us. We are going to continue to do the mobile free market, and we're just really excited for what's in store this year. And I really hope you guys vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll make sure to connect you with staff for the Homeless Ad Hoc Committee. We did have our first meeting last month, so we'll be sure to get you. Thank you, Councilmember Bernard. The next Homeless Ad Hoc Committee is March 19th here in the Council Chamber.
The next three speakers are David Nielsen, followed by Richard Bolter, followed by Christopher Baca.
Good evening, Mayor Cabrera, councilpersons and staff. My name is David Nielsen. I'm the operations manager of the Hole in Wall Incorporated, and I'm here to give our first quarterly report of our 2nd year of the grant for the Community Foundation pilot program. And so just to let you know, in the first quarter of our 2nd year of the grant, we've had 36 new persons sign up for our Community Homeless Solutions program, added to our 61 clients carried over from the 4th quarter of 2024 for a total of 97 currently active participants. They do receive our basic essential program services of lunches, hygiene, clothing, ID, birth certificate vouchers, bus passes, and mailing address services. We do offer our clients drug and alcohol classes, community service, case management, and referrals to various programs. And we do this by carefully assessing the criteria of each individual's condition and situation, looking for programs they may qualify for and what they may not qualify for. We try to meet each client where they're at. We do, however, weed out clients who show no willingness to change and continue to show no change in their condition, which allows us to redirect our time and resources to those who are willing and interested in a lifestyle change. But I want to remind everybody this is always done with careful, thoughtful consideration on a case-by-case basis. We have a little saying at the Hole in the Wall, and that is we always try to leave them better off than when they came in. Our average foot traffic is about 40 to 50 persons a week, and we do receive many phone calls for referrals and do provide help for those who may not be able to physically get into our offices. But our most intensive work, however, continues to be at the point of contact at our offices on Postal Avenue. Our success rate for those who desire to get off the street by accessing available programs is approximately 41%. That's 5%. That's a 5% positive increase from last year. One area we focused in more closely this quarter is recuperative care. We've been working closely with IEHP caseworkers and nurses We have seen an increase at our facility in homeless, dealing with debilitating chronic physical conditions and disabilities. We've had 5 successes in this area this quarter, and we're pleased to report these 5 clients now have stable housing with appropriate care. In another area, we've also been working with Adult Protective Services when dealing with our homeless seniors and have had successes in this area. We've also had 4 seniors who now have stable housing. Areas we continue to target and place and network with: basic essential services, of course, needed for housing and workforce reentry, substance abuse treatment, detox centers. We place in transitional living, shared housing, crisis and bridge housing. We deal with veteran housing, sober livings, recuperative care, long-term, short-term shelter programs, mental health supportive housing, housing voucher and rapid rehousing programs, family shelter programs, single women with children, DV shelter and housing, room and board, board and care, reentry and parole housing, and assisted living. So we're really excited about our continued growth and the ability to make a difference, and we do thank the City of Moreno Valley and the Foundation grant for this continued.
Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Richard Bolter, followed by Christopher Baca, followed by Benjamin Schuler.
Good evening, Council. My name is Richard, and I am the CFO for the Hole in Wall Inc. Thank you, David. Man, there's some wonderful stories behind all those numbers you just gave you. As of today, this quarter, I'm here to turn in our first quarter, as you guys have it up there, our spending. If you guys had noticed, the amount of services we've been able to provide have definitely increased. It's increased to about 60%. You know, our spending basically on the items has come up to about another 60% higher too. But it's the word of mouth, right? They're coming back, they're repeating. We're actually being able to do something, help them out in a way that's actually hits right now in the immediate time. The prices that you see there does not include payroll. This is not payroll, none of that. We're not charging for that. That's not what we're spending this money on. We're spending the money on the actual clients and the residents of Moreno Valley. Being able to service more people, it has been actually definitely a big blessing for us here at Postal. We want to thank you. I really just want to say thank you for the help, the support, and we are on track. You know, we're keeping everybody that we can, giving them whatever resources we possibly can, and a lot of it's to do with the funding that you guys have been giving, and we truly do appreciate that. Thank you.
The next 2 speakers are Christopher Baca, followed by Benjamin Schuler.
Good evening, community staff and elected officials. I just wanted to talk about our community's influence by special interests. I'd like everybody to pay attention tonight after the crap show that's going on in our nation's capital, that our senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, is going to speak about oligarchies and how it's affecting the community. The reason I'm bringing that up is because Moreno Valley is a microcosm of what's going on in the nation as far as special interests and corporations influencing dirty money for their benefit. I'm specifically talking about Highland Fairview and their tactics and how they're influencing our government, our local government, and our elections and our elected officials, particularly their dirty tactics that have occurred in our city over the last 20 years as far as this corporation has been influencing and pouring their dirty money and creating chaos in our community. If you recall back, the recalls, the raids, all of that stuff is directly linked to the special interest and these corporations that want their minions into sitting on this dais here so that they can put their desires hidden into the agenda, and people are totally ignorant as far as what's going on. Our funds, everything that is for people, for the improvement of our city, is going to special interest, and then these corporations just sell the projects, and nothing is beneficial to our city. You know, they're saying it's going to bring this, it's going to bring that. This city is saturated. It can't move. It's paralyzed. We don't need no more growth at this point. The growth, basically, especially something like that. But on the other hand, it's a big farce anyways. Nothing's ever going to get built in those two major projects. It's BS. And I encourage everybody to understand exactly how this works as far as the oligarchies, the corporations, the dirty money, and everything. That's exactly what's going on in our city. And you taxpayers that are paying your $50,000 in property taxes are going toward some investor from a foreign company and foreigners that are going to benefit from this, and we're going to be left with potholes. Thank you.
The next speaker is Benjamin Schuler.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin Schuler, and I am the founder of the Hole in the Wall. And I want to thank the city once again for continued support. And as a result, we are working on an event, which is a health fair at the Hole in the Wall. And we want to bring in other vendors in the community, other organizations in the community, and provide portable showers, haircuts, access to ID vouchers, bus passes, of course, food. You can always have a good meeting when you got food. So we're going to have some food and provide free clothing. You know, it's going to, with the targeted month is May. The date we had in mind was May the 10th. However, I got a call from the portable shower unit that's a bad date for them. So we're going to go back to the drawing board, come up with a date. We'll inform the city when the date is confirmed so we can get the necessary permits necessary. And we're also speaking with the property management to make sure that they're in the loop or what we're getting ready to do, that we're not preventing any businesses from operating. But we're excited about it. We want to bring in other nonprofits involved. We want to have a health team, free medical health team available to take the blood pressures, the temperatures, and of course we want to have the portable COVID tests available. So I just wanted to come up here. You heard the team. We're putting in work. The numbers over there on Postal has increased. We picked up an additional 10 bodies a week that are on the street that are being housing challenged. And all we want to do is make sure that they have the necessary resources to be able to get them closer to permanent housing. That is what we are after. Moreno Valley is a wonderful city. I've been here since 1995. Love this city. Wouldn't see no other place to see things happen here but here. So someone like me and my team have to address the homeless situation because they're coming in from all around us. And all we want to do is be able to provide them with something that most cities don't have, which is a resource place where they can get resources. And that's what we do. And they don't need an appointment. They can come unannounced. We ask it to, of course, be sober and be nonviolent, but we want to make sure, as David stated, to leave them as best they can. So thank you, City Council. Thank you, Mayor and Mayor Pro Temp and the city workers. Thank you.
The next speaker is Roy Blackard.
Had an interesting feed come across my social media of a post by our mayor that had the knee of Putin on our president, who is speaking right now in the District of Criminals, indicating that he was subservient to this, or whatever your support for Zelensky or Ukraine or whatever you're doing as a representative of all of us, 200,000 of Moreno Valley. You also stated in that post that I sent to all of you, of what a expert you are in governments and all this stuff going on. So let's go with some of the facts that are coming out. 200 billion, 250 billion of our money given to Ukraine, and they sold the weapons for 20 cents on the dollars to our enemies. It's your bud, Vladimir Zelensky. How about your bud, Gavin Newsom? $30 billion we are paying in fraud, unemployment fraud, that went to Ukraine, Russia, China. This is what we're representing as the city of Moreno Valley. This is what we've elected, and this is what's being put out in our name as all of us. If we're going to support this, and this is what the main interest of the city of Moreno Valley is, and let's put her out on the table. Because these things have a lot of consequences. So I asked the crime syndicate over there in Moreno Valley, and I'm asking this: how much of our federal dollars come into this city? Who controls those? So our staff, Mr. Mohan and crew, are going to have to go and ask, well, how are we? They're going to say, well, let's dial up Moreno Valley and see what they've been saying. How is that going to affect the 200,000 plus living here? $8 years. You promised to come in and sit beside me and debate this. You take all your experience you're putting on and all the studying and all your education, and if you got the intellectual capability of doing it, then I'm offering you the opportunity to prove me wrong.
That concludes public comments on items not on the agenda, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and thank you to all of our public speakers for coming out this evening to speak on non-agenda items. Next up, we will, actually, before we move to the joint consent calendars, usually I save this for the end of the meeting, but since it was brought up during the non-agenda public comments, I want to just go ahead and take care of this now. One of the speakers, James Harris, brought up a baseball event that he's putting together and requested assistance from the city council. So actually would like for us to at least explore to see how we can support if there's any opportunities to help him with that event. I believe he said it was in May. So I would like to make that formal. I see our city manager, it looks like you want to say something. No? Okay. So if we could maybe add this to the next agenda, or if we could just direct staff to initiate conversations with Mr. Harris to see how we can partner with him on that event. Would a simple motion, a second, suffice for the latter?
Well, immediately, each of you have discretionary budgets that would be able to assist in that particular event monetarily. Other than that, there would have to be a motion and a second to direct staff to do anything beyond that, as it is not budgeted, and we're not quite sure from the motion as to what assistance that entails. But definitely within discretionary budgets, you could assist monetarily.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. So I'll follow up and have a direct conversation with him. I have contributed from my discretionary funds, so that's one way that I'm helping out, but thought it was worth it to see if the full city council and the city could support that as well. So I'll follow up with him and have a conversation and go from there. And then the second one, regarding homelessness, we received an email about a week or two ago from the U.S. Vets. Initially, we were working on a joint application for HomeKey Plus. Unfortunately, they decided not to move forward with that. And so I do want us to still explore the possibility of applying for HomeKey Plus with another partner, see what that looks like. Just want us to at least have that discussion. So would like to make a motion and a second to either bring that to the Homeless Ad Hoc Committee agenda for our next meeting, or if the council desires, to bring that back to the council agenda for our next council meeting. So that would be my motion. And if there's a second, again, to add to the agenda of either our Homeless Ad Hoc Committee's next meeting, or bring back to our next city council meeting an item to discuss the Home Key Plus application and pursuing those funds. I'm seeking a second or any input on that.
So I'm fine with having it moved to the Homeless Ad Hoc Committee to have it fleshed out there before we bring it back here, so that we can get any feedback and give feedback to staff there. And that way, when and if we decide to move forward with it, when it's here, it's all together. We're not trying to flesh it all out. That way, also the public can kind of have some input in regards to it too. Would be because we set up the ad hoc to be more of a dialogue.
Perfect. And I agree completely with that. So motion and a second, looking to staff just to make sure, would that suffice to add it to our next Homeless Ad Hoc Committee agenda?
Yes, doing that based on policy would not dictate a two-item approach that we typically have on the motion, coming back to council to get a majority to move forward and then bringing the item back. So going to your subcommittees now that this one is created would be probably most advantageous and expeditious because that particular deadline is looming.
Yeah, there is a deadline. That's the other thing, why I'm bringing it up now. Thank you for mentioning that. So with that being said, I'll revise my motion to clarify, making a motion to add to the next Homeless Ad Hoc Committee agenda an item to discuss and consider a Home Key Plus application. I'm seeking a second on that.
Second that. Quick question for CM Mohan. Do we need to do a motion to add it to the ad hoc, or could we just do it?
Technically, we could just do it.
Okay, just making sure.
But at that particular point in time, it becomes a staff initiated. So this is good to know that this is coming from council, because this does include partnership with various CBOs and also county approval. Because if you recall, on the Home Key Plus and the Prop 1, it was a diversion of funding related to mental health that used to go to the counties. So now the counties have to approve the project.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just clarifying, Mayor, for future reference so that we know whether or not we can just move forward. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. Always good to just formalize it. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. So now we will go to the joint consent calendars. We are going to move into public comment for the consent calendar items. And before we do that, I will bring it back to the dais to see if there are any items that my colleagues would like to remove from the consent calendar for separate action.
Yes, Mayor. Can we remove I-6, please, for a separate vote?
I-6 for a separate vote. Are there any other requests from the council? Seeing none, so I-6, we will move that for separate action. We'll get to that after the consent calendar. And for now, Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on consent calendar items?
We do, Mayor. We have one. Seth Cox.
Evening, Mayor, Council. I guess I have too much time in my hand because I did read the SIP budget, okay? It's Pick on Parks night, for me anyway. In the budget there, budget amendment, there's the budget for $20,857,000 and some change for park projects. Okay, 21 line items. Through the end of December, only 5 of those line items have had any action on them whatsoever, for a total of, I don't know, just under $2 million. So you have $20,800,000 at the beginning of the fiscal year. Ending in December, you were 6 months into it and had only spent less than $3 million of it. Are you going to spend the other 17 million in the next 6 months? I don't know. I'm not a budgeting person, so I don't know how much carries over. Some of it's grant money. Will you lose the grant money? I'm just looking at the numbers. So that's my comment on the numbers. The other one is a carryover from the last meeting about information on the website. Happens to come out of the budget for the parks. There's an $8 million budget in there for the new pump park. No qualms about the pump park, okay? I think it's a good thing, other than $8 million worth. But the documentation in there, it says, it's titled Pump Track and Morrison Park, right? That's the location. The whole write-up in the map and everything is for March Field, okay? Has nothing about Morrison Park in the write-up other than the title on the page. Again, I've said it before, information given out wrong has consequences, okay? So please, I mean, you've won many accolades and prizes for our fabulous website, the city website. I haven't seen it, okay? It may look pretty, it may change colors or whatever, but the data out there is not accurate more than it is accurate, okay? Bad search engine. I could pick it apart all day long, but the data needs to be accurate when it's put out there. And I'll go back to, I got 36 seconds. On the subcommittee announcement, one of our major workers in the city didn't even know that the subcommittee had met. How did that happen? Is that not enough advertisement? Is it because it's buried so deep in the site that nobody can find it? I didn't find out until the day of. And I look at the website probably every day of the week. So let's do a little bit better putting data out on the website. Thanks.
The next speaker is Christopher Baca.
Good evening again, same topic, but regarding annexation of parcels, gifts of land to developers and so forth. My point being is that historically, our head of our oligarchy here in Moreno Valley, Mr. Ido Benzivi, he believes a lot of this land that the city owns belongs to him. For example, when the city gave, or the city and the school board gave the property where the courtyards are Cottonwood are built, that's low-income housing, he got extremely upset and threatened to recall, at the time, Victoria Baca and Carla Thornton and Exton Gutierrez. He threatened them because he does not want low-income housing in our city. Who is he? Who is he? So he believes that anything the city owns belongs to him, and he has the right to determine what happens with that. And that's what all this dirty money and these corporations, who is he to threaten to recall because the city had agreed to build low-income housing? He has ran campaigns against people, getting them in severe trouble with recalls, with grand jury investigations and all that sorts of stuff. It's all him because he wants to create chaos in the city in order to get his way. And I think that's wrong. And I think the city needs to really, or there needs to be some type of oversight or transparency where we know what's going on with the sale, the annexation, or the gift of properties in the city, because he's behind all this nonsense that's going on. It was behind the recalls, and Mayor Owings found out, and he settled for millions of dollars under the table that nobody knows. So nothing will ever come out on that. He also was behind all the other recalls and behind the investigations. He wants to create chaos in our city, and that's wrong. And people need to know this, and we need to put a stop to this. Thank you.
That concludes public comments, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So with that, we will go ahead and move into any questions or deliberation on the consent calendar. with the exception of item I6, which will be taken up momentarily. I do have just a brief comment on item I5. That is an item to appoint a voting delegate and alternate delegate to the Southern California Association of Governments, also known as SCAG, 2025 Annual General Assembly. The staff recommendation is to appoint the mayor, myself, as the delegate, and Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz as the alternate, as is routine. We do this essentially every year, every 2 years. But related to this item also, would like to just mention and inform the public that there is a separate seat in SCAG. SCAG is itself broken up into districts, and the city of Moreno Valley and the city of Paris both make District 69 within SCAG. So both cities every 2 years get to nominate and choose who will be the representative for that district to represent the district at the SCAG Board of Directors. And this year, very, very honored, very, very grateful to have been selected and appointed as the representative to District 69 for the next 2 years. So I look forward to that service, to representing the city of Moreno Valley in that capacity as well. Hopefully that will be fruitful and result in more resources for our city. And also want to take a moment to thank and express my gratitude to Councilmember Maricela Nava from the city of Paris. She has been our representative on District 69 for the past 2 years. She's done an excellent job. So just want to extend my gratitude to her for her excellent service and dedication. So that is all I have for I5. Before we move for a vote.
You will be here on May 1st. You won't need an alternate because I actually just checked my calendar and I won't be here on May 1st.
Let me double check. Good question.
'Cause
I don't think so, but let me double check.
if you're going to be there and you won't need an alternate, it's fine to stay as it is. But if you're not going to be attending the General Assembly, I think you should appoint somebody else as the alternate.
Thank you for letting us know. And that is the only thing I have on my calendar for May 1st, but really appreciate you bringing that up. Is there any interest from the rest of my colleagues to be the alternate for this particular item? Just in case. I don't think it'll be necessary,
I'll do
but
it.
just in case.
I'll do it.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the joint consent calendars with the exception of item I6 and amend item I5, appointing Councilmember Delgado as the alternate in place of Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz as the alternate.
I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Councilmember Bernard,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz,
Yes.
and Mayor Cabrera.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Which brings us to item I6, which was removed for separate action. So we will go through public comment, questions, deliberation, and a vote. And we will start first with council questions of staff. Are there any questions from the dais for our staff?
As the item was pulled, does anybody want a presentation or just questions?
Thank you. Thank you for that. So we will go ahead and move into public comment on this item. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
We do, Mayor. The first three speakers are Natalia Saca, followed by Luz Gallegos, followed by Gabriel.
And how many speakers do we have in total?
$15, Mayor.
Is the council okay with keeping the speaking time at 3 minutes, or is there any desire to decrease that? 3 minutes, okay? Okay, perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and, good evening, Ms. Saca.
Okay. Good evening, council members, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor. My name is Natalia Saca, and I am the Regional Policy Advocate for the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, known as CHIRLA. We have an office here in San Bernardino City, and we offer all our services throughout the entire Inland Empire. We are committed to protecting the rights and well-being of immigrants as well as refugees, and I am here today in strong support of item I6, which calls for the support of the Riverside County Resolution 2025-055, which affirms Riverside County to be a vibrant, compassionate, and welcoming county for all law-abiding immigrants and refugees. Moreno Valley is home to a diverse community, with 23.9% of its residents being foreign-born. Immigrants contribute significantly to the social and cultural and economic fabric of the city, yet they often face challenges and uncertainties. This resolution is essential in affirming Moreno Valley is a city that values and welcomes all law-abiding immigrants and refugees, ensuring they feel safe, respected, and included. By supporting this resolution, the Moreno Valley City Council is taking a stand in favor of dignity and inclusivity for all. It sends a message to the immigrant and refugee community that the city recognizes their contributions and committed to fostering a welcoming environment for everyone. I strongly urge you to support this resolution to affirm the city's commitment to protecting and uplifting all residents. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Luz Gallegos, followed by Gabriel, followed by Gerardo.
Buenas noches, voy a hablar en español porque están nuestros miembros viéndonos, nuestros residentes aquí de Moreno Valley. Luz Gallegos de la organización TODEC. Pues TODEC nació aquí entre Moreno Valley, que era Sunnymead y Perris, y aquí también tengo a mi compañera, que es una de nuestras líderes, que va a entregar peticiones de nuestra comunidad. Primeramente, le quiero agradecer a nuestro concejal y Erlán González y a nuestro alcalde y a todos los que están aquí presentes, nuestro consejo que votó a favor para llegar a este punto, pero en realidad este trabajo empezamos desde noviembre haciendo pláticas con nuestros miembros aquí de la ciudad de Moreno Valley para llegar a este punto, y agradezco mucho la participación de nuestros concejales, estar participando con nuestra comunidad y escuchar a nuestro pueblo, porque la problemática viene de la base y ustedes como consejo representan a nuestra comunidad. Entonces es bien importante que sigamos trabajando juntos y escuchando las problemáticas de la comunidad, porque lo palpamos cada día entre nuestro trabajo. Gracias a Dios llegamos a este punto. Aquí este día estamos aquí para agradecer que votaron la mayoría de ustedes a favor, y nuestra comunidad los está viendo, pero también queremos que haya otro paso, porque lo que estoy viendo es que gracias a Dios se aprobó la aprobar en la resolución en apoyo a lo que hicimos en el condado de Riverside, pero yo siento que podemos hacer más como ciudad, podemos agregar más lenguaje para seguir elevando a nuestra comunidad, que nuestra comunidad inmigrante es una comunidad trabajadora que viene aquí a trabajar y a contribuir, no nomás con su trabajo, pero nuestra cultura y todo lo que somos como inmigrantes. Entonces, en este momento, quiero agradecerles a todos los 4 que votaron a favor para llegar a este punto, pero podemos hacer más como ciudad, ya que hemos estado en pláticas con la comunidad y sentimos que nuestra ciudad puede agregar más lenguaje para que enseñar que la ciudad de Moreno Valley en realidad apreciamos y valoramos a nuestra comunidad, que es una comunidad y una bendición para no nomás en Moreno Valley, pero para nuestro estado de California y para todo el país. Hemos juntado miles de firmas este día. Aquí nuestra compañera va a entregarles más de 3,000 firmas, aparte de las que ya entregamos. Entonces son residentes de Moreno Valley que están en apoyo a esta resolución que empezamos desde noviembre del año pasado con estas conversaciones. Muchas gracias a todos y a la comunidad que nos está viendo y que está viendo cómo los pasos que están tomando el Consejo de la ciudad de Moreno Valley. Muchas gracias.
The next 3 speakers are Gabriel, followed by Gerardo, followed by Delilah.
Good evening, council members, mayor and staff, and members of the community. I want to say thank you all for coming out here tonight. I want to say thank you for continued supporting this resolution, which stands solid for our community, right? So as a resident of Moreno Valley for over 30 years, I've seen the city grow dramatically, right? We moved out here in the early 90s. Back then it was orange fields, there was a racetrack. So as we continue to progress, we got to continue changing with the times, right? So our city has diversified tremendously, right? So I feel like moving forward with the resolution to continue protecting our community, our immigrant families, obviously there's a big contribution, right? And everything that we continue to support this community here in Moreno Valley. However, I do want to say moving forward, if we could add a little bit more language that could be a little bit more focused for our city specifically. As you know, we do live in the Riverside County, but I feel like as Moreno Valley, we're a little bit more diverse and a little bit more separate from everything else, that I feel like we could add a little bit more language to this resolution that we're planning on passing. And I just want to say thank you again for your support and continuing looking into the city and thriving as a city and continuing developing the city as a more diverse location for everyone and their families. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Gerardo, followed by Delilah, followed by Maria Baez.
Good afternoon, City Council and Mayor. My name is Gerardo. I'm also a resident of here in Moreno Valley for over 30 years. We're in support of the resolution and how the immigrant community makes a big contribution to this city. Like my brother said, he's my brother. We've come here since the 90s when there was nothing here, a racetrack, and now we have all this different diversity here. So I'm here to support. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Delilah, followed by Maria Baez, followed by Brian Sanchez.
Looks great. Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Good evening. Thank you again, Mayor and City Council members, for taking the time to consider a resolution to help protect our immigrant community. I am here again to represent my loved ones. I am asking you to please vote yes to ensure that my immigrant friends and family feel safe going to school and living in our hometown. I don't think that any child should be separated from their family. As I shared before, my friends from school are scared for their parents and loved ones. My friends and I can't grow and learn if we are worried about losing our loved ones. Both the fear and the risk of families being separated is very real. I hope that you consider those in the community who would be affected, even though that you might not be affected directly. Thank you again for your time.
Good job. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Maria Baez, followed by Brian Sanchez, followed by Luis Nolasco.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. It's hard to follow that because that was great. My name is Maria Andrea Baez, and I'm a resident of Moreno Valley, and I work for the nonprofit San Bernardino Community Service Center. As a representative accredited by the Department of Justice, I firsthand witnessed the detrimental effects of anti-immigration legislation and how it truly impacts our Moreno Valley community. I am here today to support item I.6, which supports Riverside County's commitment to affirming Riverside County as a vibrant, compassionate, and welcoming place for all law-abiding immigrants and refugees. That is pretty much it. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Brian Sanchez, followed by Luis Nolasco, followed by Zoe.
Hi, good evening, City Council members. My name is Brian Sanchez. I'm an organizer with the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice and a resident of the neighboring town of Beaumont. I'm here tonight to express my strong support for item 1.6, which aligns Riverside County's recent resolution affirming the dignity and civil rights of immigrants in our community. Immigrants have had and continue to have a positive impact on Moreno Valley's economy, culture, and schools. They're our neighbors, friends, and family. Supporting this resolution indicates to our immigrant communities that their city leaders are doing their part to protect them and to make this city a safe and welcoming environment for all people, regardless of their immigration status. It also maintains trust between immigrant residents and authorities. Immigrant residents who oftentimes feel that authorities, police, government are against them do not report crimes, do not report any sort of dangers that they may be facing. This erodes public trust and makes our communities much more vulnerable to crime since they're not able to report it. This resolution will avert that. But passing this resolution is just the first step. I urge the City Council to go even further in supporting our immigrant community by engaging in the action of creating a justice fund that helps provide legal representation for immigrants. Many of our immigrant neighbors and community members oftentimes are separated from their families, and the only thing keeping them apart is the fact that they can't afford a lawyer. I hope that this council is dedicated to due process and habeas corpus, and will consider contributing to the creation of a justice fund as other cities have done so. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Luis Nolasco, followed by Zoe, followed by Gabriela Perez.
Yeah, moving it up and down. So cool, I didn't know I moved. Good evening, City Council and Mayor. My name is Luis Nolasco. I'm a senior policy advocate and organizer with the ACLU SoCal. Also here in support of I.6. You know, what else can I say that what else the rest of my colleagues and friends have said about immigrants just being such a crucial part of Moreno Valley, right? Immigrants make up so many small business owners, from street vendors to people that own brick and mortars. They are a crucial part and an essential part of the workforce in Moreno Valley and the region, not including the amount of economic revenue that they bring to the city through sales tax, right? Not including just the residents, but also immigrants that are passing through Moreno Valley, right? And so for all these reasons, as has been said, we urge you to support, but also echoing what Brian said, another important thing to know is that in the immigration system, you're not afforded an attorney kind of like you are in the criminal legal proceedings, right? You don't get a public defenders. So more often than not, folks are having to go through these very, very complicated and legal mumbo jumbo that a lot of folks don't understand. Some folks have said that immigration law is only second to tax law in terms of complexity. And this is something that folks often have to go through it alone. And so by creating a legal defense fund, cities like Moreno Valley can mirror what other cities like Los Angeles have already done and set aside a pool of funding to provide and services and contract out with nonprofits like TODEC and San Bernardino Community Services to provide these things at a low or free cost for community members that could not afford a lawyer. As we know, we're going to need this more than ever in the next coming 4 years. So we really urge the City Council to, one, approve of I.16 and also to look forward to working with community about expanding potential legal services for Moreno Valley residents. Thank you so much.
The next three speakers are Zoe, followed by Gabriela Perez, followed by Eddie Torres.
Dear City Council members and Mayor, thank you for listening to my statement and for what I hope will be a yes to passing a resolution to support the immigrant community here in Moreno Valley. It would make me really happy to know that everyone can feel safe and welcome here into our city, especially my classmates. I'm proud to live in a place where people care about others no matter where they come from. Thank you for working to make our city better. Sincerely, Zoe Rahman.
The next three speakers are Gabriela Perez, followed by Eddie Torres, followed by Angie Santos.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gabriela Perez. I'm the Executive Director of the Inland Empire Latino Lawyers Association, as well as one of your constituents. It's very nice to meet you all this evening. I'm here to speak on item I.6. I run a nonprofit law firm dedicated to ensuring access to justice for everyone living in the Inland Empire, regardless of their citizenship status or their financial means. Aside from supporting this motion and hoping that you all vote yes, I also want to echo what my colleagues say. Let's make it more inclusive for Moreno Valley City residents. I think it's really important that when we adopt these things, that we make it very personal so that all our residents know that we didn't only just give a stamp of approval, but that we also read the fine print, that we know what this means, we know how to actually put it into practice. And so for that, thank you again.
The next three speakers are Eddie Torres, followed by Angie Santos, followed by Martha Prado.
Good evening, City Council, staff, and community members. My name is Eddie Torres. I'm the Policy Director with the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice. And echoing the comments of my colleagues that have come before me, I wholeheartedly want to thank the 4 members that voted in favor of the motion. And now here for this resolution vote. Thank you for bringing this up, and thank you for your support so far. I wanted to mention some information regarding the first comments that were mentioned in this meeting around homelessness. I think they're really important to continue that conversation, and one of the most growing demographics among homelessness is undocumented seniors. This is for several reasons, right? Due to their immigration status, undocumented seniors cannot access many government programs like Social Security or Medicare. My wife works at a clinic, and oftentimes her patients that are undocumented don't want to sign up for Medi-Cal because it might impact their case down the line if they ever apply for citizenship down the line. So they have to pay for everything out of pocket, right? And so with fewer safety nets around available for our undocumented communities, they end up homeless. The fear of deportation is also another driver of homelessness amongst our undocumented population. Seniors who are seeking necessary assistance will not reach out for help because it might impact their case, and they don't want to make any legal miscalculations and end up in ICE detention or end up being deported, right? So just wanted to bring that to the forefront as we were thinking about and discussing homelessness earlier. These issues are very much connected. This resolution can in fact support reducing the amount of homelessness in your city by taking this monumental step in the city's history to say that we are a welcoming community. We support immigrants. We want them to thrive in this community, not only for their socioeconomic impact, but just for the dignity of themselves being people that deserve it. And I echo the message of my partners who are saying that this is a great step, but we need to take things a little bit further because we have not only you here, but the community behind you to support initiatives that can provide legal support down the line, not only for the next 4 years, but many, many more years down the line. I think that's what we want to echo, is that this is a forward-thinking approach. This is a beautiful resolution, but we want to make sure that the impact of this moment isn't lost in 4 years, that it continues in perpetuity, and that our community residents have the sustainability and the security of being able to live in Moreno Valley safely. Thank you so much.
The next three speakers are Angie Santos, followed by Martha Prado, followed by Sammy Luna.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Angie Santos, and I'm a resident of Moreno Valley. Actually been here 12 years, going on to 13. I'm here tonight to express my strong support for item I-6. This resolution reflects core values of being welcoming, compassionate, and inclusive. It affirms that every individual, no matter where they are born, deserves to be treated with the dignity and respect. Immigrants are an essential part to our community, contributing to our neighborhoods, economy, and schools. By passing this resolution, we're not only showing respect for people who make Moreno Valley thrive, but we're also taking a critical step into making our city safer. This builds trust and also makes Moreno Valley a better place for everybody.
I urge you to pass this resolution and continue to build a city that values everyone regardless of their background. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Martha Prado, followed by Sammy Luna, followed by Linda.
Good afternoon. My name is Marta Elena Prado, and I am here in strong support of Agenda Item I-6. As a Moreno Valley resident of over 30 years and a proud daughter of immigrants, I thank the Council for bringing on a resolution in support to our community. Many of us come from mixed immigration status families. Therefore, I urge the Council members to continue to take a step towards affirming your appreciation for our diverse community that is made up of immigrants and be true advocates of justice. There are many residents in Moreno Valley that are being affected by the political climate, whether it is a silent fear or being brave and speaking up today and every day if needed for the next 4 years. Therefore, I truly believe a vote in support for this resolution is a vote to reject racism, to reject racial profiling and unethical intimidation tactics that are separating families in our community, but rather affirm your appreciation to the residents that make up Moreno Valley and a step to keep families together and truly create unity and peace. I also encourage the city to have a roundtable meeting with these great nonprofit organizations that are present here today to further the conversation of this resolution and advocate for our families. All immigrants, regardless of their status, contribute millions in taxes that go towards our schools, city repairs, and public safety. Therefore, passing this resolution is affirming you see our community for who we are, but you and who you represent, and valuing not just our culture, but also our humanity, regardless of our immigration status. So thank you for your time.
The next two speakers are Sammy Luna, followed by Linda.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council members, City staff, community. My name is Sammy Luna. I am a resident of Council Member Delgado's ward area. I forgot what we call it, but anyway, I'm wanted to give a special shout out to Council Member Gonzalez for bringing this forward, and Councilmember Bernard, the mayor, and Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz for all agreeing and bringing it to tonight for a vote. I also wanted to mention something strange, and I could be totally off, but you know, when I've walked up to city council meetings, I normally don't see 4 county sheriff cars out there, so I kind of thought that was strange. I don't know if that's a normal thing, but I don't know if that was an intimidation tactic or what, but I found that weird, so I did want to bring that up tonight. I'm also disappointed that, Mr. Delgado, that you pulled this from consent, because it would be an easy vote for our council members and yourself tonight. You are my council member and I'm your constituent, and so I'm disappointed that you did that, because we have a lot of people in this community who make our community thrive, that are undocumented. A lot of them attend many of our events that we have here. A lot of them are parents of our wonderful students in Moreno Valley Unified School District, and our community is better because of them. So I really hope that when you engage in your discussion tonight, it's very thoughtful of the humanity of all these people, because everyone deserves an opportunity to thrive. Obviously, anyone who is doing illegal activity does not, but that goes along with people that were born in this country. So it's not, unfortunately, in the climate that we're in, the finger likes to be pointed at one group or another group, and it's just not right. So I really hope all of you are thoughtful in your vote tonight, in your consideration, in your discussion, and considering this. So thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker is Linda.
Hello, my name is Linda, and I've been a resident here in Moreno Valley for over 20 years. And mainly, I wanted to express gratitude to the council members and the mayor for considering this resolution. I also would like to urge you to make the language specific and firm, to clearly send a message to the community that you support the immigrant community. I am a proud immigrant. I was born in Mexico and I came here legally, but my family lost status having been established here. And I am very fortunate to have adjusted my status, but I am conscious that not everyone has that fortune. Unfortunately, immigration, like they said, is very complex, and it can come down to just the luck of a draw. I wanted to mention a story that was shared to me by someone that I met, and it relates to something Councilmember Bernard mentioned. I'm very grateful that there's a lot of Hispanic representation here tonight in support of this resolution, but there are a lot of undocumented immigrants from all parts of the world. I met a man who he immigrated from Eritrea, which is a country in the continent of Africa. He came here undocumented because his whole family applied to be refugees. His 3 daughters were fortunately granted that privilege after an 8-year process, but he was not. And he came here because he didn't want to be separated from his girls. And I met his girls, and they are nothing but excited to be students here, to be here to learn and contribute. They're thinking, the youngest is 8 and she's thinking about college because that was never in the cards for her from where she's from. And they're scared of losing their dad because he's undocumented. And he tried the legal way and he was unable to. And he's here working 2 jobs to support his 3 baby girls. And I think it's important to know that we're everywhere. We're your neighbors. We are your coworkers. We are everywhere. And Representative Delgado, you as well referred to someone you know. And I don't know if you realize that it's not easy to express the fear. I grew up undocumented and I lived in fear. I am very fortunate not to be in that situation, but the fear is real. And just because you aren't aware of that fear, you don't live it, you don't see it, or perhaps the people close to you don't express it, it's there. And we are here, we're paying taxes, we're working, we're contributing, and we come in all different colors from all different parts of the world.
The next 2 speakers are Roy Bleckard, followed by Christopher Baca.
So I just heard we want to bring that dumpster fire of Los Angeles to Moreno Valley. Just as a lot of people in other states are not real happy about people coming in from California because we bring the idiocracy that we've done here, where's most of the immigration coming from here, from Los Angeles? Have you driven around there a little bit lately in the past couple of years, 5 years, 2 years, 2 weeks ago? There's something we built, the greatest country in the history of the world, off the greatest constitution and the law and policies. We've seen how quickly it can get destroyed. We have processes. I brought up here, you know what that resolution says? And I asked for it, and I asked down at the county. It says, we are going to follow and praise everyone, regardless of their immigration status. And that means if they're in here illegally, if they're in here as a felon, just like maybe the councilwoman down in Coachella. There's a lot of implications to this. I asked at the last meeting, where's the staff report? What is the implications of coming fiscally that's going to affect the city that y'all live in if this is determined it's a sanctuary city? Because that's de facto what you're passing with this resolution, just like what the county did. How much of the budget comes off that's relied on by federal funds that could be shut off? Just maybe like about 20% at the school district. Came out last week at our assembly of the state of California, we spent $9.5 billion on Medi-Cal for undocumented immigrants. Who is afraid to say or speak when we're spending $9.5 billion? But you hear the information coming up here. Again, we should have a staff report with the implications. You should be asking the questions of all the implications that may possibly, potentially be happening if you pass this resolution. Because when it comes to if we get, and there's a good possibility, we start getting federal funds pulled, I bet you're going to see a lot more people up here with a lot more concerns than what you're hearing right now.
The next speaker is Christopher Baca.
Good afternoon. A lot of this reminds me when I was a kid of how I admired my cousins that lived in Guanajuato, and basically all they did, they were about my age, a little older, and they just get on a bus from León, Guanajuato to somewhere like Mexicali or Tijuana, get on the back of a train and cross over the border, get to Greyhound Station, somewhere in Chula Vista maybe, and get to downtown LA and take the bus from the Greyhound Station in downtown to East LA where we lived. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was like, wow. All in all, we really don't see a difference from Mexico and the US as far as what Mr. Blackard said, you know, we're such a great country and this and that, you know, we're just another country. It was built on slavery. It was built on immigrants, you know. The Mexican president just had a press conference stating that, you know, this country was built on the backs of Mexican labor, and it continues to. The economy is going to collapse with the tariffs and with all of this. So it's just a bunch of nonsense. So all in all, be an Oscar Schindler. I forgot his name now. Schindler. Be an Oscar Schindler. Don't be a Joseph Goebbels. Be an Oscar Schindler. That's what we really need to be a country of compassion rather than hate. The fact of the matter is a lot of people here would actually be happy to see a final solution here. They would be happy to see people exterminated. It's just hate. It's nothing but hate. And if you really think about it, it's self-hate and showing over to other people their hate. Thank you.
That concludes public comments, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and thank you to all of our public speakers for joining us this evening and sharing your remarks as well. At this time, we will go ahead and bring it back up to the dais for any questions or deliberation, if desired, before we entertain a motion and a second. So at this time, looking to my colleagues for questions or comments. Councilmember Delgado.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I don't know how to work this thing, and I still would just raise my hand. So I don't have a lot of comments because I already said what I said last council meeting. It's recorded if you guys want to go review it. But I will say that I come from a family of immigrants, and I am not anti-immigrant. I am pro-law. And whatever the laws of the land are, that's what I teach my kids, and I will continue to do so. I have grandkids now, and I will continue to teach them the laws of the land, is that we respect the laws. So we are a country built on laws, and that's all I'm doing is following the law. So I will say, though, that I've never, ever heard of law enforcement being used as intimidation, especially in our city. I've never heard that, and I don't think anybody up here has requested that. So our law enforcement agency here, our Riverside Sheriff's Office is not here to intimidate anybody. They're here to protect you guys. So, again, I don't have too much more to say, but thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other council members that would like to make any remarks, ask any questions? I don't see any hands raised up on my screen.
I think so. Should we just call for the motion? I motion to approve the resolution.
And before we do that, yeah, it looks like there's still some comments just before we entertain a second. Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yeah, I just want to bring this up. Some of the community members brought up regarding the resolution and how it was worded, and it reminded me of what we decided back at the council meeting regarding directing staff to draft a resolution, a standalone City of Moreno Valley resolution. And what I see here is just a comment regarding supporting the resolution of the county, not our own City of Moreno Valley resolution. So I don't know if there was confusion or staff direction towards that. So I'm curious as to why it was kind of worded this way.
Is there a question in there, or do you want me to respond, or is that just debate?
Yeah, if staff could clarify to the question, please.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. So typically motions are then brought back through the city manager's office. And so based on the conversation at the last council meeting, based on my notes and reviewing the tape and talking to my colleagues from the city clerk, the city attorney, what was identified in the motion was to bring back a city resolution modeling the county resolution. And so in reading the detailed resolution that the county approved, which is resolution number 2025-055, it actually talks about what certain staff members and so forth are going to do from the county. And the reason why the county put that language in there is it had to do with the sheriff's departments and the sheriff's deputies and what they can and cannot do. Unfortunately, to create anything that was specific for Moreno Valley PD or Sheriff's Department, I can't effectuate that direction on top of our Sheriff's Department outside of our contractual arrangement. So it was thought that it would be best to prepare a resolution as intended and requested by council, modeling the county resolution. And in order to do so, we have to keep the content and intent together, and that was why I attached it as an exhibit to the resolution.
Thank you very much for the clarification, and I do have some comments as well. Any other council members that have any comments, any deliberation, any questions? I don't see any, so just a couple of things. I did share quite a bit at the last meeting as well. So if you would like to go back and rewatch that, please, you're more than welcome to do that. It's on our YouTube channel, on Facebook for the City of Moreno Valley as well. But just to add a little bit based on some of the things that have transpired since the last meeting, some of the comments that have been shared, some of the deliberation as well, would like to add that just because something is law doesn't mean it's right. Unfortunately, this country has made mistakes. It's nothing unique. Countries make mistakes, pass laws, propose bills, and sign it into law. But this country has unfortunately put in place laws throughout our history, starting with the Constitution. The Founding Fathers weren't perfect either. And since then, there are certain procedures that are embedded within the Bill of Rights and the Constitution to correct those wrongs, to amend the Constitution, right? We gained our independence to distance ourselves and separate ourselves from kings. And that's why we have a democratic republic, a representative government, where we have elections, we have the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, so on and so forth. And so while now's not the time to go into some of those examples of atrocities that have been committed in this country throughout our history, we do have to acknowledge that fact. And certain times throughout history, there's moments where we as a people have to speak up, and in certain cases, take action. And I believe that this is one of those circumstances and situations where we have to speak up and take action. And that's what's happening here at the city level. And I do also agree with some of the comments that were made by public speakers that this resolution is good, but I do think it could have been, and it was intended to have more thorough language as opposed to what is currently written. It's maybe less than a paragraph. And essentially it says that we support the county's resolution, which we do, right? That was part of the conversation. So if there is a desire from the council to give staff direction to rewrite the resolution, because there are certain things, and I respect staff's opinion, but I would say that while there are certain things in here that speak directly to the sheriff's department, because the county has jurisdiction over the sheriff's department, there's also other clarifications in here, especially on the last 2 pages of the county resolution. For example, be it further resolved that this resolution intends that this resolution shall not be construed to prohibit any county departments, assistance, or cooperation with federal authorities if required by state and or federal laws. And that's just one of the clauses that's in here. I think that while not all of the language and all of the clauses in the county approved resolution apply to the city, most of them do. We could replace county with city, and that I think would create a full resolution that encapsulates, I think, what this council had in mind, at least the 4 that voted in favor of bringing this to the agenda. So while it's not ideal, I wish we could just finish this tonight, approve it, and we can move forward. I think this does need a little bit of an adjustment and some more verbiage and language in the resolution to be specific to the city of Moreno Valley. So I said a lot, but again, if there's a desire here from the council, from a majority, to do that, give staff until the next meeting, bring this back, revise it so that we can make a final vote at the next meeting, I 100% will support that. If there is no desire to do that, then I will proudly and gladly support the resolution that is here on our agenda. So with that, looking to my colleagues again to see if there's any, there is a motion.
The motion.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem won't be here at the next meeting, but there is a motion. There hasn't been a second yet. Any further deliberation? Is there any second for the motion?
I make a motion to make modifications to this resolution to make it more.
Yeah, the motion on the floor, she would have to withdraw her motion.
She's not withdrawing her motion.
It would be an alternate motion, correct?
She has to agree to withdraw it. She didn't agree to withdraw it. Well, because we keep talking in deliberations and I'm trying to make sure that everybody's done, because I know how the parliamentary rules go. And so she's looking for a second, and unless she's withdrawing her motion or she agrees to an amendment, which is not happening, we can't just make an alternate motion. We've got to address the motion that's on the floor.
So if there's no second for the motion, it dies. We still have to make a motion to take some formal action. So then if there is no second.
We're not there yet, because I was motioning to second when everybody kept talking. So I'm seconding your motion.
Which motion for clarification?
I'm seconding the motion that's technically on the floor, which is hers. Mayor Pro Tem's motion, which is still on the floor. The only thing I'm going to say, because I see where this was leading, is in the future, when you're drafting resolutions, especially whoever's the one to initially make the motion, you should probably sit with staff
and work on the resolution with staff.
For the
That's my
record,
resolution, and this is exactly the resolution that I made. So exactly, I'm motioning again to approve what I motioned at the last meeting. I have a second. Can you please call for the vote?
so for the
Motion
record,
is to approve the resolution that's
As
in the agenda.
presented tonight. Let's do this.
and there's some additional comments, unless the council wants to vote to end deliberation. I would like to make additional comments to Councilmember Bernard's points that she brought up just now. Number one, would like clarification from staff because I went back and rewatched the last council meeting. The motion that I made, which was seconded by Councilmember Gonzalez, was verbatim to direct staff to draft a resolution modeling the resolution passed by the Riverside County Board of Supervisors. It didn't say support, it said modeled after. What the resolution says we have before us is, now therefore the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley, California does hereby resolve that the City of Moreno Valley supports County of Riverside Resolution 2025-055. I think whether there was some confusion or if staff wants to clarify, I don't think that was the intent of the motion. The intent was to draft our own resolution, not to essentially write a letter of support for the county's resolution. So just some maybe miscommunication there. And then secondly, to your second point.
As that was directed at staff, I do believe I answered that with my response to Councilmember Gonzalez. And I would suggest that based on this conversation, I'm going to announce this right now, that the city clerk, city attorney, and myself are going to either, one, bring back a policy that in future motions, you guys write your own staff report, resolution, and ordinances. Because I will not have my staff or my colleagues who are hired and fired by you be stuck in the political mess that we are in tonight. And I am not going to allow that. So we will bring forward a policy this next meeting, and you don't need to motion, I will bring it. And therefore, you will have dedicated resources to write your own staff reports, resolution, and ordinances in the future.
Thank you. And to the second point that Councilmember Bernard made, I did talk to City Manager Brian Mohan. So I wish you would have asked before assuming that we didn't speak to the city manager.
That's not what I said. What I said was, in the future, you should sit down and write the resolution with them, not ask them to draft, but to sit down with them and write the resolution and say, like, okay, yes, this is what it's looking like. This is not what I think it should say. To actually sit down and work through it instead of just directing staff to just write the resolution on their own. And then when it's not whatever you wanted it to be, saying this isn't what I wanted it to be. But if you're involved in the process, then you're knowing what's going in line by line. That's what I'm pointing out. I'm not saying you didn't have a conversation with the city manager. I'm saying sit down with them and work through it and write it through it with them.
That's what we did.
Thank you for clarifying.
We did that with the mayor ordinance when we did the censures.
Yeah.
We worked with staff and we wrote the resolutions. We told them exactly what we wanted when we wanted to censure
my
you.
question would be, why didn't that happen here? And I think to the city manager's point, we need to change policy to clarify this because currently it's subjective. When staff wants to work with, whoever motioned and second, they do. When they don't, it's so. In order to clarify that, so that we don't run into this situation again, and everybody knows who worked on a particular item, who drafted it, who motioned it, who seconded. I do think that the policy mentioned by the city manager will clarify all of this. So I think that that's good practice. Look forward to seeing that and seeing what else is attached to that proposal at the next meeting. So going back, there was a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz. It was seconded by Councilmember Bernard. Before we take a vote, any alternate motions, any further deliberation? If not, we can call for the question.
So for the resolution that was prepared by staff supports the resolution of the county that affirms Riverside County to be a vibrant, compassionate, and welcoming county for all law-abiding immigrants and refugees. That's the title of the county resolution.
Yes, and there's a motion and a second. If there's no further deliberation or questions, we'll go ahead and call for the question.
Thank you.
the
Councilmember
vote.
Bernard,
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado,
No.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz,
Absolutely.
and Mayor Cabrera.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that passes with 4 yeses. Thank you once again to everybody that joined us this evening. And we will go ahead and move into item K, general business. We have one item, K1, background information regarding shopping center security requirements. And we'll turn it over to the city manager for a staff report.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. If you recall, at our last meeting, there was a motion by Councilmember Bernard, District 4, to bring back an item related to shopping center security requirements. And so in the staff report that is provided tonight, it references our current municipal code codification in section 9.08.270. And these are basically the city requirements for current development. And what they are is development standards for the development of new shopping centers that meet specified criteria. And as part of that, the standard is to file a security and safety plan with our community development department, but more importantly, to have security guards on premise to ensure that some of the concerns as to why the motion was called for are addressed. And so in the staff report, it identifies that particular codification along with items A, B, and C in detail. I'm available for any questions that you may have for this informative conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and bring it up to the dais for any council questions of staff. I see Councilmember Delgado.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for bringing this, or Shaylinda for bringing this up. I think it's a great idea. I just want to know, after we turn it over to the development, whether it be a multifamily or larger than 2 acres, are there standards? And I read this, it says, security surveillance cameras, professionally censored monitored fire system, and all this, but who's going to monitor their making sure they have it? Would that be us, or would that be on the onus of the property owner?
Twofold. So as the development standards are codified in the municipal code and then basically brought to fruition through community development department, those go through a multitude of reviews through building, safety, planning, and so forth. So as part of the various permits and approvals and conditions and conditions or certificate of occupancies are issued, staff is identifying that those particular development standards are already met. Then it becomes an enforcement issue after that. And that's where our community enhancement team, which is part of the community development department, steps in. And so whether or not we get complaints from residents, from businesses who are tenants of owners in shopping centers, residents that are frequenting the shopping centers, any complaints come into one of 2 ways. Either 911, if it is a 911 call, or they come in through our community enhancement division. And they'll go out and take a look at the conditions of approval and development standards and literally go through all of those steps to identify whether or not there is compliance or not.
That clears it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff? I do have a couple as well. For clarification, trying to see if there's any staff recommendations. I know this includes what is already on the books, but is there any specific staff recommendations
No, so if you recall, since Ordinance 996 and then the revision of 1008, there's a two-step process in the motion. So in essence, this was just motion last meeting, so this is coming back to the dais to see if there is any majority that would still like to move forward with potential changes. And at that point, that's where staff will come through with a staff recommendation.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I have a question.
What about the centers in the city? Will they be notified when we're going to be discussing this so that they're not blindsided and that we can hear from them as well? And especially the businesses that don't own the properties. Like, we'd like to hear from them, and maybe they're all in agreement too, but I'd sure like to hear from.
It depends on where the conversation goes tonight, because if it has to do with codification or changes to the Muni Code, then it would require a public hearing, first read, second read. So yes, from that standpoint, all of the shopping owners, as long as they're watching public notices and so forth, would be updated that this is coming forward. If it is not revisions to an ordinance, then technically you wouldn't necessarily need a public hearing. And so it would, based on conversation and direction to staff, whether or not we would notice any one owner or anyone at that matter if it doesn't require a public hearing. But it would probably be best if it was directed by staff.
Okay, but public notice, like direct mail, not just like on our website or just our agenda posting, right?
Public notices are noticed in the paper, and so therefore there's no, because this is not necessarily related to a specific development, there would be no reason to direct mail any one owner, but through direction of staff, if staff would like to direct that as part of the recommendation, we can do that.
Question. This is, and maybe this is too premature. Does PD have any comments regarding this type of proposal at this time? Chief Mack.
Yes.
Well, the comment would be that having security on scene at these shopping centers would be a benefit to us for law enforcement and for public safety. There's definitely a benefit to have security on hand. Some of those benefits include the first and foremost is a deterrent. It does become a deterrent for criminal activity. It also serves as a direct contact for law enforcement. When we arrive on scene, we can get firsthand information, and we have a direct comment to somebody who is part of the responsible party for us to get information from. And it also is helpful for us to have kind of firsthand that eyes on the ground where they are aware of what this area looks like, and they can notify us quicker when they notice something that is potential criminal activity. So it is a benefit when it comes to public safety and law enforcement on our end. I think there's other ways to, at some degree, accomplish some of these things that are outside of having a security guard on hand. So there's more like environmental type designs that we can work in conjunction. So I don't think that this is the only way to accomplish these, but I think that this is a valuable one.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to follow up on that, one of the things that came to mind with this, because the intention is good here, right? We want to, I think, unless I'm misspeaking here, we want to make sure that we are increasing security and public safety around the city to make shopping, dining, etc., safer for our residents, for our constituents. I believe that's the intent of this, and of course we all want our city to be safer. And when we dive into the details, I also don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think about certain things like Mayor Pro Tem brought up the businesses, right, the property owners themselves. This doesn't have any funding behind it at the moment, right? And I don't know if that will be part of the conversation. It would be a change to our code, a law that we pass and implement, and it'll have to be followed. But having on-site security does cost money, so someone's going to have to pay that, whether that is the property owner, property management, or that gets passed down to the small businesses that are there paying leases and possibly even the consumers, right, that are buying product and services from the businesses. So it's just one of the things that I want to make sure that we're aware of and conscious of, that we don't do something that might have unintended consequences. So if this does move forward, we try to address that in some way or mitigate that in some way if possible. But yeah, I think I'm getting too far ahead of myself, and if this moves forward, it looks like it's going to come back, and then we can have more deliberation, get into more specifics. So I'll reserve the rest of my comments.
Well, and Mayor, I just would like to add that in order for me to move forward, I do need some details as to how to move forward. But yeah.
Okay, understood. Councilmember Bernard.
So I think one of the intentions, and I do understand what you're saying, because I talked about it being cost prohibitive to business owners, but as many of us have already and consistently received calls that there are shopping centers that are problematic. And there are constituents that will tell us, and business owners have told us also, like, hey, I don't feel safe, or I'm not getting enough response time, or something. Like, how can we make it safer? And so what I'm trying to come up with, instead of just saying, you know what, let's file 602s, let's talk to so-and-so, at some point, we have to move forward with trying to address the issue. Now, while I understand it's going to be cost prohibitive at some point, and whether or not we're able to supply some funding with that, what I do know that's not working is us doing absolutely nothing. As I'm getting calls from business owners that people are defecating in front of their business before they can open it. Or residents are talking about how there are encampments and they don't feel safe in the parking lots. And while our city staff, with all due respect, is very good, our hot team and everything that they do is very good, I do feel like a presence of somebody there that is security or some level of that being required there actually helps, for the reasons that Captain Mack talked about. This is not us saying this is the only solution, but the way I'm really looking at it, just like when we were looking at homelessness, it is a multitude of things that we have to employ and we have to put in place to make sure that, one, residents and business owners feel safe. If you don't feel safe, you're not going there, you're not shopping, so the business owner is going to go under, because if you don't feel safe, they're not showing up to spend their money. And then what do I tell the business owner who's like, I call you guys all the time, and we're telling them, okay, let's enforce the 602, let's talk to the property manager. And we've seen it. Some of these property managers are not the most receptive, but maybe if there's a way we can kind of force their hand, is how I'm looking at this. It's not the only solution, but a start.
I'd like to add to that. So building up on what Captain Mack said and what Councilmember Bernard said, as far as cost prohibitive, you think about a deputy sheriff going out and doing an investigation and how long it takes for that investigation to be completed. Well, if there's someone on site that maybe on-sited the crime or can describe the suspect, and that cuts down that investigation time, then the deputy can go back out to the street after that quick investigation or the quicker investigation is done. So I think there's a fair balance, and I think there is a cost for public safety, and that's I think everybody is okay with delivering that news. But again, the public hearing, the information that we would deliberate on up here after staff gives us that information, that all can be vetted out, and then here, like Elena said, we can hear from some of the business owners on how it would impact them. But there is a cost for public safety, and again, if you balance everything out, the investigation for one deputy sheriff going around and trying to find out what happened, whereas this individual could tell him exactly what happened and kind of lessen the investigation time. So just the bigger picture,
Yeah, definitely. And I agree, right? Again, I think we have the same end goal here. And so we probably need to flush this out some more and go into the details, get into the nitty gritty. So I guess I'll defer to Councilmember Bernard, since you made the original motion, to give staff direction, see if you have some more details as to what motion you would like to give staff or what direction.
So, City Manager Mohan, don't laugh. Would you like me just to make a motion for staff to move forward, or do you need a lot more detail?
Well, first of all, I just went through the script, and as I flip to page 12, I see speakers. Do we have any speakers for this particular?
Yeah, we done went there. Okay.
We do not.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to make sure, because
Sorry.
I couldn't even tell you if we actually addressed it already.
We got so far into it, we forgot.
Yes. Okay, so now that we don't have any speakers, I'm sorry, Madam Councilmember.
So, is it enough for me to just make a motion for staff to move forward with drafting this and preparing it for a public hearing, or do you need specifically?
Well, if I draft something for public hearing, it sounds like it's going to be an ordinance revision.
Yes.
And so I'm assuming that you are looking at the ordinance 984 that I embedded in the staff report that was effective March of 2022.
Yes.
So any shopping center from that time to now already has these standards. Anything before doesn't. So I'm assuming you're wanting to make all shopping centers on the same page of development standards?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the same standards, but to all shopping centers within the same standards, same criteria, regardless of when they went through the development approval.
Yes.
Okay. I can then bring back a staff report along with an ordinance and the proper, the prototypical governmental code requirements for the public notice for the public hearing, and it will basically state something to the effect of all shopping centers, not necessarily just newly constructed.
Yes. Yeah.
If that's a motion, I'll second the motion.
That's a motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bernard.
Yes.
Councilmember Delgado.
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz.
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that motion carries unanimously. Which brings us to item L, Regional Commission Committee Board Reports. We do have a few. I have two, and I'm first on the list. So I will start with the report from RCTC, just a brief one. Tonight, I'm providing updates from the Riverside County Transportation Commission meeting held on February 20th at the Board of Supervisors building. The commission authorized a progressive design build procurement by approving the release of the request for qualifications to perform preliminary engineering and cost estimation for the Interstate 15 Express Lanes project. In addition, the Riverside County Transportation Commission within the past 2 weeks held a workshop, an event over toward Murrieta, Temecula area. One of the main items that they were discussing was asking the commission to study, to direct RCTC staff to conduct a study to look at various transportation corridors around the Riverside County, including specifically the 60 freeway and the 215 freeway, to explore and study possible solutions, options, investments that could alleviate congestion and that could look in the form of adding additional lanes, talking about express lanes, converting HOV lanes. There's a lot of different options embedded in there. It's very, very general. And so the commission looks like they're going to move forward with that, and we should be getting the next update around the summertime. And then in the future, an official recommendation will be coming back to the commission for a final decision. So that concludes my report on the Riverside County Transportation Commission. And my second one is for the Regional Conservation Authority Board of Directors meeting held on March 3rd, 2025. At the RCA Board of Directors meeting on March 3rd, reports for the Western Riverside County MSHCP fee collection, JPR status, acquisition status, monthly investment, quarterly public engagement metrics report, single signature authority report, and quarterly financial statements were received and filed. Staff provided a presentation on state and federal legislative updates. The governor released Proposition 4 bond funds that RCA would be able to compete for to meet MSHCP land acquisition goals. At the federal level, Congress continues negotiations on fiscal year 2025 funding. In addition, key positions for fish and wildlife are still being filled. RCA does continue to interact with Congress and continue to monitor the federal legislative situation. Staff provided a presentation on adopting resolution number 2025-008, resolution of the Board of Directors authorizing the Western Riverside County Regional Conservation Authority entering into a funding agreement with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and authorizing and designating the executive director for the Silo Hills project, approximately 74.36 acres in size in Riverside County. The RCA Board of Directors approved the adoption of resolution number 2025-008. Staff provided a presentation of the Marietta Creek Regional Trail easements to the city of Lake Elsinore. There's a trail that's being built through various cities, and an easement was required. That was granted. Partial acquisition by the city of Lake Elsinore. Draft agreement number 25016-00 and a purchase and sale agreement for the Marietta Creek Regional Trail, and authorize the chair or executive director pursuant to legal counsel review to execute the agreement and or amendments on behalf of RCA. Finally, there was a presentation on the reserve of the month, Winchester 700, approximately 1,160 acres located in the southeastern part of the plan area, funded using RCTC Measure A. And last but not least, the chair of the RCA, in closing comments, mentioned something that was really enlightening, and I'm glad he mentioned it, and I would like to share it as well. That the RCA, most people think it's just a conservation agency, it's to conserve land and all of that. But there is another very key important component of the RCA. And by conserving land in other cities, other parts of Riverside County that are oftentimes very far away from Moreno Valley, that actually allows other cities like Moreno Valley, Riverside, Paris to develop. It gives us more flexibility because there are certain requirements when you're developing something to set aside land for conservation. And so that's another important part of RCA's mission, which helps all of us and all of our cities to develop. So the next Board of Directors meeting is scheduled for April 7, 2025 at 12:30 p.m. at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors building. That'll conclude my reports. We will go next to Councilmember Bernard for Riverside Transit Agency.
Thank you. Tonight I'm providing updates from the RTA Board of Directors meeting held on February 27th. The board heard a presentation from the Burrell Institute, and essentially what that conversation was around was how are we able to help our residents and our riders that are blind or visually impaired, and something as simple as making sure we're not writing in italics was one of the things that they brought up. If you're visually impaired, you can't tell the difference between an I and an L depending on what it is. So that was one thing. The board also authorized an agreement to New Flyer of America, Inc. to purchase 5 low-floor, 40-foot hydrogen fuel cell buses in the amount of $9.3 million. And just so you know, we're getting a grant for that. Because I know that number was big. There was a lot of conversation. That's actually a grant with the federal government. And that concludes my report on the last RTA Board of Directors meeting. And students still ride free on RTA's bus. They still have money in the grant from now until June. They said as the students get a little older, please just make sure they have their ID, just because they want to make sure that they're in high school, but they are eligible to ride the RTA buses for free.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember. And the last report we have is for the School Joint Task Force, Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz.
Thank you so much. The Joint Task Force met on February 18th. Councilmember Bernard and I were in attendance. Representatives from Moreno Valley Unified, Val Verde Unified, California State Parks at Lake Paris, Riverside County Board of Supervisors 5th District, Think Together, and Rising Stars Business Academy attended the meeting as well. Highlights include the City of Moreno Valley and Moreno Valley Unified District's joint use agreement that pertains to pool use for residents during the summer break. Of course, the biggest caveat is public safety and insurance. However, it has been agreed that they will be available this upcoming summer. Moreno Valley and Val Verde Unified echoed their unity during a time of fear and uncertainty as it pertains to student attendance. Both Dr. Rubalcaba from MVUSD and Deputy Superintendent Mark Lenar from Val Verde Unified are committed to all students and their ability to receive an education. Think Together gave a brief update on their capabilities. Think Together has over 400 employees that cover over 5,000 after-school students. These students are spread out throughout the city in Moreno Valley and Val Verde Unified, and the team is focusing on policy and procedures within both school districts' spending jurisdiction to ensure that students and parents are properly served. California State Parks at Lake Paris are continuing their efforts on improvement of the area, specifically the south side of the lake that borders Paris and the Ramona Expressway. The Riverside County Supervisor's Office is promoting and accepting application for his Furry Pets foster program. The program seeks to assist pets from the San Jacinto Animal Shelter by granting screened individuals a chance to foster pets for up to 3 weeks. The foster parent will receive $25 a night and a bonus of $150 if they are able to get their foster pet adopted within 2 weeks. All costs are subsidized by the program, including the adoption for the foster pet. And finally, Rising Stars Business Academy. They're preparing for their 15th anniversary and are looking to highlight their recent grant approvals and continue commitment towards our community. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. And that brings us to item E. Are there any employee association reports this evening? There are none, which brings us to item N, the legendary city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I want to introduce and congratulate Dina Hild as our newest ET member. She was successful in the recruitment for the Chief Financial Officer. A little bit of history, she's been with the city for 13 years, been a principal accountant, a financial operations division manager, deputy finance director, and was currently, most recently, the deputy compliance director. And so with her over 2 decades of finance and accounting and her involvement in the various technical organizations, she'll be a great fit for us. So thank you, Dina. Congratulations. I would be remiss if I didn't mention some probably items that you guys are going to mention in closing comments, but this Saturday, all of our residents are invited to the Multicultural and Art Festival this Saturday, March 8th from 2 to 6 p.m. at our amphitheater. And then on Saturday, March 15th from 9 to 11, there will be a sunshine extravaganza. And as we expand our adaptive programs, we will be working with the Sunshine Group to do so. So this is an adaptive egg hunt at the Conference and Rec Center from 9 to 11 on Saturday, March 15th. The other thing that I just want to mention is something personally from me. As we navigate through the transition of my appointment and in various things throughout the past month or so in the next few months, I just want to thank all of you guys for keeping an open mind on new processes and new efforts and so forth that my colleagues and I are trying to effectuate, and to also keep the open lines of communication between all of our offices going. And although we can be passionate here on the dais or in the well, as one of our constituents kindly states, that although we are passionate, we are here to do public service for our residents. And we can still be passionate, but still be able to get along and be able to take direction and policy from council and effectuate that through staff reports, resolutions, and ordinances. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Doing a great job. Really appreciate the report. That brings us to item O, City Council closing comments. And I'm still getting used to this. It looks like we're going in alphabetical order now. So we'll go to District 4, Councilmember Bernard.
Thank you. So just to piggyback off of what City Manager Mohan said, There is an adaptive egg hunt, but there were a number of constituents who said that they were unable to find the registration online. Don't get nervous. I already talked to Jeremy in a prior meeting. And Jeremy and his staff was so gracious to look it up immediately. And one of the reasons that residents aren't able to actually book is because if your child is between the ages of 3 and 7, there were 50 slots open and every last one of them is filled. So that's the 9 to 10 a.m., but we have plenty of slots for children that are 8 to 13 years old, from 10 to 11. So again, thank you to all the parents that are signing their children up and trying to make sure that we're filling those slots, and hopefully next year we can expand that. Also, I wanted to give a quick shout out because Patty had told us, not you, Miss Patty, Jeremy's Patty, had told us that we're actually also using a neighborhood grant from Starbucks to help pay for that. Also, we have the April 12th, we have our Spring Tastic Festival and egg hunt from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. March 24th through the 28th and April 1st through the 4th is our spring break day camp for kids ages 5 to 12. So please be on the lookout for that. And everyone's favorite apocalyptic adventure, adult flashlight egg scramble, is Saturday, April 19th. From 6:30 to 9 p.m. So please, 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 as we tell everyone, do not wait till the last minute or you will not get a ticket. And no, there is nothing any of us can do up here to help you get a ticket to that. I also, normally I'm always closing in something fun and jovial. But I think in light of recent events and with a budget that is looming that will affect all of us in some way or some fashion, from Medicaid to SNAP benefits, I am going to just implore the residents and just anybody that hears this, what are you willing to sacrifice for the truth in this democracy? And that is the honest truth. What are you willing to sacrifice in this democracy? Abraham Lincoln, famous words are, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And when I look at a budget as a mother of a special needs child who's looking at these budgets coming up and knowing that they want to cut Department of Education by 90%, they want to effectively get rid of Medicaid, or Medi-Cal as we call it in the state of California, and reduce SNAP benefits. I think for me, this democracy works because there are certain things we just agree upon. I agree that if you can't, because our healthcare system is so messed up, can't afford healthcare, you should be able to go and see a doctor. I don't want you in the emergency room for something that was preventative. And if you can't agree on at least the fact that every child, regardless of immigration status, should be eligible to some type of healthcare, I don't know if I have many words for you, other than heartless. I agree that children shouldn't go hungry, and we shouldn't remove the fact that children should be eligible to receive Head Start, because we know that when children are able to go to school and get to school early, they grow and they learn very fast, very quickly, and it aids in their development. I also don't believe that children shouldn't know where their next meal is coming from. And if the only 2 meals that they're getting are breakfast at school as well as lunch at school, I'm okay with that and paying for those expenses. But in general, I don't think anyone should be going without in our country. And this attitude of it's gonna hurt, but it'll get better, I don't understand why in this democracy, in this United States of America, we feel that it is okay for things to have to hurt to be better. And for any of those out there, because I know I'll probably get comments that say, well, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I say to you, it's always easy to pull yourself up by the bootstraps when you start with a pair of boots. But for many of us, we didn't have a pair. And so with that, I end my night with good luck, God bless, and hope to see you all on the 18th.
Thank you. Next up, Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you. I just want to make a few comments. Want to thank staff going through my department handbook training this past Friday. I went through the various departments, sheriff with Captain Mack, city manager, of course, Ryan and Lana and Sean. Took a tour of the animal shelter. And also of the Department of Sheriff. We also Captain Mac took me. We took a tour of that. It was great. Um, also, financial management and services and economic development with Keith and Melissa. Again, I just want to say thank you, and I'm learning a lot, and it's great time spending with you guys during those few hours. Also, thank you, staff, for responding to the CRMs I've sent over the past months. I know there's a few that's still under analysis with the speed cushions, speed humps. So they're looking into those. So again, thank you for your responsiveness, and you guys do a great job. On Saturday is International Women's Day. It's important to recognize the contributions of women in our society. For me, my mom, my wife, my coworkers. I work with the majority are women, and I've learned so much from their contributions to me as I've grown through my career at the county. So thank you, thank women on that day for all their contributions on Saturday. With that, I just want to say thank you and kind of want to comment on city manager's comments. We are passionate. We are here to serve our community in different capacities, and we all do it with good intentions and to make a difference in our communities, in our districts. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Councilmember Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My sentiments for what Shay said regarding compassion for children, and nobody should go hungry. Nobody. I don't care what your status is, but and then the medical, I agree 100%. My dad just had a hip replacement, didn't pay a dime, zero, because he has Medi-Cal or whatever it is, AHP or whatever it is, but he didn't pay a dime. Brian, you wanted to respond to Seth Cox's comments, so don't forget to either call him or whatever you want to do. I just want to remind you of that because I saw it in your eyes, and then we got sidetracked. Mr. Mayor kept talking. So I attended the Wake Up Moval, and the hot team from RSO received an award from the chamber regarding thanking them for their contribution to our homeless outreach processes, and they were thankful. They went up there and kind of gave it a description of what they do on a daily. So want to recognize them. Captain Mac, again, thank you, and all of the hot team. I attended the Black History Month celebration at the Senior Center, and I did not know this, but we do in the city of Moreno Valley have a solid gold dancer, one of the first solid gold dancers on solid gold. You don't have any idea what that means, but a lot of us do. Solid gold was like American Bandstand, and yeah, so, oh shoot, here I go. Okay, something like American Idol, there you go. Anyways, we have a dancer from Solid Gold here in the city of Moreno Valley. She actually gives classes at the Senior Center for the seniors. So she got up there and she kind of gave a little history of her experiences. She has a book about her experiences, and we have her in the city of Moreno Valley. So I think that was really cool. But they put me to work. I didn't go there to work, but they put me to work, and I was handing out food and drinks and stuff. It was awesome. I got to be a waiter for a night, and that was cool. I want to thank our local nonprofits, Hole in the Wall, Inland Compassion, for coming out tonight and following up with what they said they were going to do when we allocated some funds for them to do groundwork for our homeless folks. So thank you guys for coming out and continuing to support our homeless folks in the city of Moreno Valley. I will be hosting another community engagement next month in April, so stand by for the date. And this provides an opportunity for folks that live in District 2, in my district, to come out and have a candid conversation about what's going on in our district and our city. So come out and just stand by for the date. I don't have a date yet, so I'll get with the city clerk's office and do that. I am part of the, Shay and I are part of the Parks and Community Service Subcommittee, and today we were told that Volunteer Income Tax Filing Assistance, or VITA, will be at the Moreno Valley Mall Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays from 10 to 2, and at the main library, the Moreno Valley Mall Library, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 2. Walk-ins only, first come, first serve, for helping the volunteers, the students from colleges, help with taxes. And if you need any assistance with taxes, come up there. The Moreno Valley Mall, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 2, or the main library, Saturday, 10 to 3, and they'll help you out with your taxes. And I thought that was really cool. So I asked Jeremy if I could let everybody know, and he said absolutely. So there's that. I always end my comments by saying be nice to one another, but I'd like to highlight that, and I'd like to highlight a member of our community that does just that, is kind and goes above and beyond. Mr. Don, and I don't know his last name, but I saw a guy pick up trash, and I've seen him several times at Ironwood and Athens. And Ironwood and Athens, we refer to it as Inspiration Point because you look down at the city and all the lights and whatnot. It's where the elementary school is on the opposite side. But nonetheless, he was picking up trash. His wife has dementia, so he gets her out of the house, and he goes and picks up the trash in that area. He's adopted that area, and I asked him why he did it and why he does it, actually, and he does it weekly. And he says, number one, I love my community, and I want to make sure it's clean, and people that park up here just throw their trash out, and I clean it up. Number two is I get my wife out of the house because she has dementia, and she's outdoors really stimulates her, and she likes that. So it's part of a process that he does. But I'd like to publicly acknowledge him, and Don, I'll find out your last name, but keep it up. And on those same lines, please be kind to one another. We will see you guys in a couple weeks, and I will look for, and I ask all you guys, look for someone that is doing what's right for our community and highlight them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next up, Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz.
Good job. I think that everybody has already mentioned the events, especially this weekend's multicultural event. And I attended the commissions that I'm assigned to is Environmental Historical Preservation, which met before the last. I gave an update on that one, but this last week I attended the Utilities Commission. Very engaged group of residents. We received a presentation on the software that the city uses with the utilities, and they'll continue to meet monthly and get staff reports. So it's really intriguing to learn about how the Utilities Commission works throughout the city. It's a new assignment for me. I also attended, I already gave that report for the school district. So I didn't even prepare closing comments. I will be here next week. I don't know, two of you already said, I'll see you in a couple weeks, but we have a study session next week, right? So I'll be here for that. The following week, I will be out of town for the council meeting. So I will renew my statement that I do not ask for an excused absence. I don't believe that I report to the council where they can excuse my absence. So I'm just letting everyone know I will be out, and I will be back in April for the first meeting. But I look forward to seeing the community this weekend at the multicultural event. So thank you.
Thank you very much for those closing comments and a few items here. First, would like to say thank you to our staff for helping to coordinate interview with KCAL highlighting the wild burros. Really appreciate them doing that. You know, not just an opportunity to highlight a gem of our community, something that our community really holds near and dear to their hearts, but also an opportunity for a PSA per se, right? To let people know to, not feed the burros, keep your distance from them, make sure that you're being aware, you're watching the road when you're out, especially on the north side of town, driving through Ritchie Canyon. So really appreciate KCAL for making the time to come out, and thank staff for putting that together. The Multicultural and Art Festival, as has been mentioned, one thing that hasn't been mentioned is that on the same day, we are unveiling officially the, not one, but two augmented reality murals. Those are the ones painted by the artist Patrick Barwinski. Beautiful murals, one of them facing Alessandro, the other one on the inside of the CRC on the side of the amphitheater. And these are the first augmented reality murals in the Inland Empire. So huge deal. And I want to thank the artist Patrick Barwinski for going out of his way, going above and beyond to not only make the first mural AR, but also for making the second mural AR. He did not have to do that, but he went out of his way to get that done. So really appreciate it. Definitely join us on that day to see the murals for yourself. Also want to congratulate and thank the Moreno Valley Mall and Cars and Coffee of Riverside for hosting a very successful, first ever, again, in the Inland Empire, indoor car show at the Moreno Valley Mall. There were dozens of cars. My personal favorite was a GTR. That thing was beautiful. There was also a 67 Chevy C10. Love that car. My dad had one when I was a kid. I miss that car a lot, that truck. Maybe I'll have one day, but hats off to the mall, hats off to everybody that made that possible. That was very successful, and the community was super happy with that. Also paid homage to the former racetrack that was where the mall is now located. So thank you to them. And in closing, just also want to echo, this is more of a personal thing, or my own perspective. I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but we all see that there's change happening at all levels of government, from DC all the way down. Some things that we don't agree with, right? We have various opinions, oftentimes, as the word has been used, passionate opinions and perspectives. And sometimes it's not easy to speak up out of fear of retaliation, putting a target on your back, whatever that may be. But we need to sometimes speak up and just speak the truth, right? Try to educate others, try to inform others, and make sure that at the end of the day, we're doing what's in the best interest of our constituents that live here in the city of Moreno Valley. And so when you talk about things like SNAP and Medicaid, the Social Security Administration, the VA, laying off federal workers, even if there's no federal funding cuts, laying folks off could result in delays for grant funding and other administrative tasks that directly or indirectly affect our constituents that live here in the city of Moreno Valley. So we just want to be conscious of those kinds of things when we look at the policy conversations and the policy changes that are being implemented at the national level, especially. I won't even go into tariffs or anything like that. That's a whole other conversation. But to end on a positive note, regardless of all the things that are happening outside of our city and outside of our control, there's a lot of really good things that are happening here in the city of Moreno Valley. And just to name a few that most may be aware of, but in case you're not, this is for you. The city of Moreno Valley is getting the first ever museum in our history. It should be open by early 2026. Pump track is on the way over next to Morrison Park. Should be open by the end of this year in District 3. Senior Center expansion is coming through and underway, so hopefully that'll be done by the end of this year as well. The Sunnymead Library Branch, the Sunnymead Ranch Library Branch also is underway. I ran into a pastor at the Cupcake Espresso Bar yesterday, and they were talking about how excited they are about that library opening. And we have new businesses opening up, a couple of things. The first time that we're going to see in our city over the next couple of years also is not just any regular hotels, but hotels that have rooftop amenities as well. And so it'll be nice to have that, something different, a different experience in the city of Moreno Valley. So with that, I want to wish everybody a good night, happy Women's History Month, and we'll see you at the next meeting.